Dreams are a wonderful thing, but do they put food on the table? The money you so desperately need, does it provide? When you get sick, will a dream take care of you, pay for your bed? So many things dreams aspire to be hopes and wants, but it's never what you need it to be when it comes down to it. The empty promises that those dreams have so much of. One day, a day that seems farther off in the distance. So why bother dreaming? Be blessed with the success you found. Keep your head out of the clouds and close to earth. Forget the taste, forget the feeling. You are right where you belong. Akane-banashi by Yuki Suenaga and Takamase Moe was originally published in Weekly Shonen Jump in February 2022, with an adaptation by Studio Zex airing in April 2026. I'll be very honest with you, I didn't know anything about this show going in. I was only aware of the manga because of the promotions I saw when reading One Piece. If anything, the biggest takeaway I got from this show is that I should probably finish Shougen Roku Rakugo Shinji at some point, but that's neither here nor there. This is the story of a girl, Akane, trying to avenge her father by becoming a Rakugoka 6 years after he's expelled from Rakugo school, and that's a compelling plot on its own. First of all, Rakugo as an art form is interesting, a one-man performance. It's just you on a seat with a fan and maybe a cloth. I don't know too much about Rakugo as an art form outside of the few episodes of this and Genroku I saw, like I mentioned, but I can very much appreciate the pressure of a performance like that. To add a bit of lore to myself, I mentioned that I was in band before, but I was also in color guard, winter guard specifically for those of you in the know. That's the thing where you spin flags, rifles, and sabers, among other things. I don't know much about solo performances outside of recitals for piano that I've done, but I see Rakugo as being somewhat different because of how exposed it is. There's no intermediary of music, it's pure, unadulterated performance, which is why I put it closer to something like Winter Guard. I know the feeling of having to project yourself, your emotions through your movements, how big you have to make yourself feel just to be readable at a distance. I can only imagine how much pressure it must be to be a solo performer in a setting like that, to have all those eyes on you, to be there on the stage alone with nothing more than a few props, sitting in a rather uncomfortable position for minutes at a time. It's nerve-wracking just to think about. Now, even though I make that comparison, there's really no equivalent to Rakugo in the US. It's a pretty esoteric art form. This is gonna sound a bit weird, but if I had to describe it in English terms, it's sort of like a cross between stand-up comedian and a storytime YouTuber, where the stories are set repertoires. I think of Olin Rogers' Ghost in the Stalls but performed on stage. For those of you who don't know what that is, Ghost in the Stalls is a video where Olin tells a story about how he pretends to be a ghost in a Target bathroom or something like that. Does that date me? Probably. That video is like 15 years old at this point. But I do think the comparison is apt. There really isn't another form of monologuing that checks the same kinds of boxes as those. You have the stand-up comedian that tries to elicit laughs and entertainment out of their sets, and the storytime YouTuber that paints an entire picture using just their voice and cadence. Honestly, it's an interesting form to turn into a battle shonen, partly because the battles aren't really head-to-head. This isn't like Haikyuu where we watch people volley back and forth in the middle of their playing. No, this is one performance in its entirety up against another in less than rapid succession. Think Your Lie in April, where the playing becomes a vehicle for a character's inner emotions. This is where my experience in band and Winter Guard come back into play. It might not seem like there would be any drama in a sport where the competitors don't go against each other head to head. I mean, if one competitor is obviously better than the other, where's the tension? There's no drama in deciding a winner, especially when the winner is determined from the performance alone. But I can tell you, that isn't how it feels in the moment. During the performance, a million little things could go wrong, and the tension is in holding it all together until the performance is through. As much as it may not seem like things differ from one performance to another, the performer is very much aware of the minute details that change the nature of the set. The battle comes in controlling those variables. That's where the true head-to-head comes into play. Things like venue, weather, the audience that day. Those are all things we think about, audience especially. While it might seem like performers are wrapped up in their own worlds, we do always have one eye to the crowd, gauging their reaction. I can imagine the roaring laughter in Rakugo playing a very similar role to the applause and cheer you hear in something like Winter Guard or Marching Band. And that's one of those intangible elements you can't know about until you're in the thick of it, and it very much plays a role in how the performance turns out. It can be disheartening when the audience doesn't respond in the way you want them to, and the inverse is true too, the boost in confidence you get when the crowd is in the palm of your hand. If anything, this is one of the things I appreciate about what this story does, how it portrays a performer's relationship to their audience. One of the things Akane learns is that Rakugo doesn't exist as a performance alone. That performance is dictated by the whims of the crowd. Akane learns to accommodate for the particulars of an audience in the same way that a band must be wary of the sound of a venue. A performance in a school gymnasium is markedly different from one in a sound-treated auditorium. There are nuances to performing in a stadium versus an outdoor football field. As an audience member, you might not be aware of the particulars a performer is adjusting for when they perform, but it's something that's always on their mind. Honestly, that's how you make something like Rakugo interesting in the context of a battle shonen. The audience and their expectations are just as important as the fundamentals of the form. How, as a performer, can you follow up a crowd-pleasing show? What can you do to make yourself stand out when everyone else is just as good as you? Those are active decisions made in the moment, and it's the heart of how battle shonen like Akane-banashi work. You don't compete head-on, you compete in details and controlling for external factors as much as you can. As Akane grows in her craft, we see her learn to accommodate for more things outside of her world on stage. Who is the audience? What's their tempo? How can I make the most for them out of the tools I have? That's the world of Rakugo that the story paints for us, a profession Akane inherited from her father, fueled by his love for the craft. And even though this is Akane's revenge story, I want to focus on Toru because his relationship to Rakugo is the thing I find interesting. It's one thing to have a father gifted in a craft and pass that on to his child, and he was gifted, you can see that in the depiction, but to have him be cast out, exiled from the art, there's something to that. This very easily could have been a story about inherited revenge. A father is cast out, discouraged, leading to an unsatisfactory life in their exile, that pain being passed down to the next generation who takes it upon themselves to seek the revenge and justice their father couldn't get. Inherited revenge, retribution, justice for the crimes against the father, doomed to a mediocre life. And while the bones of that kind of narrative are there, that isn't quite what the story depicts. Because what complicates things is what the father finds after his expulsion, the kind of life he receives. For that kind of story to work, Toru needs to be in a markedly worse place than where he started, filled with malice and spite for what happened to him and struggling to find his new life. It would be a revenge story fueled by the dissatisfaction Toru feels. That's what Akane would inherit. But from what we see, Toru's life gets better after his expulsion. He gets a real job. He's praised for it. He finds the money and success that he could never achieve as a Rakugoka. It doesn't seem like he holds any resentment about what happened to him. I mean, how could he? His life is better than it ever has been before. He doesn't seek retribution. He feels like there's no justice to be served. The real tension of this story lives between the life Toru leads and the dreams he left behind. It's one thing for a story to say to follow your dreams. It's another thing when that story also depicts a better life on the other side of letting go of those dreams. Toru got expelled, and by all outward metrics, his life got better. What do you make of a story like that? For Akane, the message is clear. Choose a path that's hard and treacherous, or one where the road to success is laid out plain and simple. I think the true conflict in this story is in juxtaposing those paths in front of Akane. Because what does it say about following your dreams when you know for a fact that if you abandon that life, you'll still find success anyways? Akane's teachers are even worried about that on her behalf, fueled by the regret of the hardship a former student encounters after being told to follow their dreams. In that way, The story complicates things by showing us two paths, where down one you get a life you so desperately want, stability, success, approval, and down the other, only the possibility of achieving a dream, with no guarantees that it will ever arrive. To be honest, it's hard not seeing my own struggles in a story like this, the struggle of being a creator. On one hand, it's something I love doing. I love being able to make stuff that people seem to enjoy. It's one of the only things I realize I'm good at. But at the same time, it doesn't pay well. It's not what gets food on my table. I do all of this for the love of the game. It's easy to see myself in Toru's shoes, how abandoning this life for a more typical path can lead to success in its own terms. I could make money and eventually find fulfillment in my job in IT, doing something I may not love, but making it all work nonetheless, rewarded for abandoning my dream. And I don't know what to make of that. The choice in front of me, follow the safe path, one where people would think highly of me in certain ways, where I could provide for myself and the people I love. The alternative is a much harder path, esoteric and niche, where the bar to success is incredibly high, and where there's no guarantee that I'll be able to achieve what I want. The rational part of me knows what path I should take. It's obvious from the face of it. Pragmatism in the face of a harsh reality. That's the choice in front of me. Akane's struggle is that of becoming a Rakugo, following the path her father laid out for her using his art. But the tension is in knowing that Akane could be successful if she chose a different life. I'm a one-man performance. What you see here are my efforts to connect with an audience I can't see. I tailor every sentence, every musical cue to a crowd of thousands. I gauge reactions through comments, through likes and views. There's a certain thrill I get when I have someone tell me I know what that's like, and that they finally feel seen. Akane gets the same kind of rush when her set lands with her audience, to know that the crowd forgets their worries, their struggles for a moment in time to enjoy the art she puts in front of them. But the question at the heart of it all is one of worth. Is that high worth the struggle and hardship that comes with walking down a path that isn't so clear-cut? The struggle of being a creator is in seeing both paths laid out in front of you and constantly deciding which one to walk down. The temptation in seeing success down a path you know true and trodden, but still enamored by the allure of the performance, a high you can't get anywhere else. I don't know what it's like to be a Rakugo, but in my heart, I know what it's like to perform, whether that be through band or winter guard, or videos just like these. I chase that high because it gives me purpose, a purpose beyond the typical road people travel. I've gotten a taste of something that I don't want to give up. Call it childish or naive, but I do this because I want to. Like Akane, I won't be satisfied with this only being a dream. I want to drag that dream into reality, keep performing for the audience I believe is out there. I have to believe that those dreams are worth something when standing at the crossroads of reality, that there's a point in pursuing this ache in my heart. There's a crushing irony in that Toru was rewarded for abandoning Rakugo, for letting go of his art. And even though I can very easily see myself going down that path, that just isn't good enough for me. I'm Akane, performing exactly what I know, what I've spent years honing and crafting. I know that it's a hard life, but in my heart, I'm an artist that just can't let go of what he's found. I tell stories in the way I can on this stage, alone, a one-man show, stuck in tension with the harsh realities of life, but nevertheless, like Akane, with the taste of what I want lingering inside me, I'm doomed to dream. As always, thank you so much for watching. This was originally going to be a quick take, but I realized I had more I wanted to say about it, so here we are. If you're in North America, the show is free to watch on YouTube, so check it out. Thanks to all my patrons for supporting the channel. Your help makes videos like these possible. And if you want to support the channel too, like the fine people you see here, you can do so for as little as $1. Like I said in the video, I don't make much through these videos. I do all of it for the love of the game, so your support really does mean the world to me. You can follow me on socials. I'm at It's Kyle Robes on Instagram and Twitter, and that's about all I have to say. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Shoots.